The political battle lines are drawn. Republicans and Democrats alike want Chinese automakers kept out of American markets. But here's what most people don't realize. They're already here, operating quietly, building infrastructure. Dun Insights, a consultancy specializing in autonomous and electric vehicle markets, has documented more than 100 Chinese automotive companies with active operations on American soil right now. BYD is manufacturing buses in California. CATL, one of China's dominant battery makers, partnered with Ford to produce EV batteries in Michigan. But when industry analysts assess which Chinese company has the clearest path to selling complete vehicles in the United States, one name keeps coming up: Geely. In a very real sense, Geely is already selling cars here. They're just not wearing a Geely badge. Geely is the only player that's built an actual physical presence in the US through other established brands. They control the factory. They've got distribution networks. The supply chain infrastructure already exists. Understanding Geely requires knowing that the name means different things depending on context. There's Geely Holding, the parent company. There's a publicly traded OEM, and there's the Geely brand itself. What matters most is Geely Holding, which holds major stakes in three automakers currently operating in the United States: Volvo, Polestar, and British sports car manufacturer Lotus. The ownership structure tells you everything. Geely Holding owns 78.8% of Volvo's stock. Both Volvo and Geely's founder Li Shufu control a substantial combined stake in Polestar. Geely Holding controls 51% of Lotus. They also hold smaller positions in Mercedes-Benz and Aston Martin. Despite being Volvo's majority shareholder, a Volvo spokesperson clarified that Geely does not manage daily operations at Volvo Cars or any publicly listed companies it holds shares in. Polestar, the premium EV brand spun out of Volvo, trades on NASDAQ. Lotus operates through two entities, and Geely Holding is the majority owner of both. But the connections run much deeper than ownership percentages. Geely manufactures Lotus EVs in China. Geely Holding's CFO sits on Polestar's board. Geely founder Li Shufu serves as Volvo's chairman. Volvo CEO Håkan Samuelsson has publicly stated this relationship positions Volvo better against Chinese automakers than any competitor. In its annual report, Volvo explicitly stated its intention to expand that relationship further. All three brands operate established dealership networks across the United States. Volvo also owns a manufacturing plant in South Carolina. A Volvo spokesman stressed that Volvo Cars owns that plant, not Geely. But on April 29th, Volvo CEO Samuelsson reportedly stated the company would be open to manufacturing Chinese vehicles at that facility. And here's the critical detail. That factory has serious capacity to spare. Sam Abul-Samid, a researcher at Telemetry Insights, described it bluntly. That factory is vastly underutilized, producing a fraction of its annual capacity of about 150,000 units. Volvo plans to introduce the hybrid XK60 SUV to the plant, which Abul-Samid estimates will add roughly 45,000 units annually. Late last year, Volvo's Americas president, Luis Resende, told me the company was importing approximately 95% of vehicles it sold in the US. Volvo's ambition is to push US sales to 200,000 units annually and have its Charleston factory produce 50 to 60% of that volume. So which Chinese brand might use that capacity? Analysts point to Zeekr, a performance-oriented premium brand under Geely Auto that could slot in just below Volvo. Executives from Zeekr have already publicly expressed their desire to bring the brand into the US market. As one analyst told me, out of all the Geely Group brands, Zeekr is the most likely candidate for US introduction. Zeekr already has an American partnership in motion. They're working with Waymo, which has been deploying Zeekr vans equipped with Waymo technology in San Francisco. Waymo also operates Jaguar I-Pace EVs and has plans to incorporate vehicles from Hyundai and Toyota. Meanwhile, in China, Geely has emerged as a rising star in a brutal domestic automotive market. The company's shares surged in early March after it outpaced Chinese rivals in sales for 2 consecutive months. Worldwide, Geely Holdings brands sold close to 1 million vehicles in the first quarter of 2026 alone. What sets Geely apart is its comfort operating in markets vastly different from China. They've successfully entered numerous European markets, gaining substantial experience as an international presence. But make no mistake, the jewel they're all after is the United States, where they believe they can achieve their highest profitability. One potential weakness, according to Dun Insights CEO Michael Dunn, is that Geely might be spreading itself thin across the many different brands it operates. Still, While Geely is clearly best positioned to establish U.S. operations, it's not alone. Stellantis holds roughly 20% of Chinese automaker Leapmotor, creating another potential opening. Rebadging an existing vehicle as a Fiat or another brand more familiar to American consumers, and the infrastructure is already there. The reality is that everybody in the industry outside of China is rightfully scared of trying to compete with these companies. Of course, Geely and every other Chinese automaker faces fierce opposition from the U.S. government. Speaking at the New York Automotive Forum in April, U.S. Senator Bernie Moreno called Chinese cars a cancer on the U.S. auto industry. There's already a federal regulation banning any technology from China related to connected car systems. Currently, Chinese EVs face a 100% tariff, which can climb even higher when combined with other duties. Yet consumer sentiment tells a different story. In a February Cox Automotive survey, about 38% of American consumers said they would consider purchasing a Chinese car. Among younger buyers, that number approaches 70%. And at a recent address to the Detroit Economic Club, Donald Trump signaled openness to Chinese companies manufacturing in the U.S. If they want to come in and build the plant and hire you and hire your friends and your neighbors, that's great. I love that. Let China come in. Let Japan come in. They'll be building plants, but they're using our labor.